Modern man evolved in the African continent a few 100,000 years ago. From there, he slowly spread across the globe. He settled in places right from the North Pole to Australia in the south. And even now, he has not stopped moving from place to place. He continues to migrate for employment, for marital reasons, because of war or natural calamity. What does he take with him when leaving his place of birth? His language, his culture and his faith, and sometimes his God and the God's image, which means the God too must have migrated several times along with man. Did the people who thus took their gods with them when they moved to a new place find solace in their company? Did the company of their gods give them strength to spread their roots in the new place? Did those who were left behind miss their gods? Dev Salle, or Farewell to Gods, is a novel by D.B. Mokashi that explores this fantastic relationship between God and man. Today, in the 47th episode of Grantha Yatra, we are going to discuss this very novel. A warm welcome to all our viewers. Digambar Balakrishna Mokashi was born in the year 1915 at a place called Uran in the Raigad district of Maharashtra. After completing his matriculation, he obtained a diploma in engineering and established a business of radio repairs in Pune. His first collection of short stories, called Laman Diva or The Hanging Lamp, was published in 1947. In all, Mokashi wrote 9 collections of short stories, 5 novels, 2 travelogues, some light essays, and books for children. Mokashi's writing is characterized by the search for the essence of the human being and the depths of his mind through various experiences. He also experimented with mystery and ghost stories. His writings reveal a confluence of delicate descriptions of emotions and dramatic happenings. His novel Dev Salle was published in 1961. This is the story of a family from the Konkan region of Maharashtra and their family deity Narhari. Only an old aunt now lives in the ancestral house at Palasgaon. 4 sons of the house have left Palasgaon long ago in pursuit of their occupations. The old aunt has been finding it increasingly difficult to follow the rituals associated with the deity, and hence the eldest brother Abba is planning to shift the deity to his home in the city. For this purpose, he has arrived at Palasgaon with his family. The other 3 brothers have also arrived at the village to bid farewell to the deity. One by one, they all reach their ancestral home where they will stay for a day before Abba would leave for his city carrying the deity with him. This is the story of that day and a half and the emotional ups and downs in the minds of the family members during that time. The family deity is also quite extraordinary. God Narhari had great prestige in the whole village. There was no doubt about it. Even gods would have been jealous of him. This was mythological Narhari, who had mellowed down after killing the demon Hiranyakashipu. His nails were stained with blood, and so was his mouth. Yet, he was at peace now. He was going to remain peaceful until all other incarnations of God on earth were over. Abba tells his brothers that one of their ancestors had placed the deity in a vessel filled with water and set out with his wife and children for a distant land 300 years ago. Abba has collected all this information during his bid to write the family's history. On hearing this, Abba's brother Jagu thinks, but where did the deity come from at the original place of the family? Had he been then shifted from some other place? Which of our ancestors decided to make Narhari the family deity? Who was our family deity before that? Did this ancestor make Narhari the family deity because he heard the tale of Narhari or because the deity blessed him with something? Who was the sculptor who created this statue? How much was he paid for it? Where did our ancestors come from? Did they come in a ship from the North Pole? Did they carry this very statue with them? It all goes back to thousands of years. We shall never know the history of the movement of our family in that bygone era. Each member of the family has a relationship to the deity at a different level. The old aunt in the family had been widowed in her childhood and she has toiled for the family all these years. She remembered that at various times during her life, she had tried to foster different loving relationships. Initially, she had showered affection on her younger sister in law. But then the sister in law got busy with her children. Then the aunt pampered the sister in laws one child at a time. But when the children grew up, she herself began to feel a distance from them. Narhari had become her deity too when she was married into this family. When the house was full of people, her brothers in law looked after the family. When many festivals and occasions were celebrated, she had quietly served the deity by doing all the work that fell onto her. But she had not developed any bond with the deity beyond that. Then the brothers in law passed away. Her nephews left the village and settled in cities where they found work. When she was left alone in the house, her heart, starved for affection, began to revolve around Narhari. Just as she had showered her affection on her younger sister-in-law and nephews, she now began to pamper Narhari. But now that even this place where she had engaged her emotions seemed to be getting lost, she felt weak inside. Ramu, who is younger to Abba, is very poor. He lives in a small room in the city with his wife and children. But he is the one who is most unhappy because the family deity is being moved. Most of the time, he is immersed in self-pity because of his poverty and nurtures a grudge against his brothers because he feels they don't help him enough financially. He even contemplates whether he should take the deity to his own house, although he can ill afford all the accompanying rituals. Perhaps he is hopeful that the presence of the deity in his house might alleviate his poverty. The brother younger to Ramu is Jagu, who is very carefree in nature. He walks through the wilderness in the dead of the night to reach the ancestral house after alighting from the train at the railway station. He has as much faith in Lord Shiva, the presiding deity of the village temple, as he has in Narhari. The youngest brother is Naru, who has transformed completely into a city dweller. He is least interested in the village or in his ancestral home. He is bored even during the one day that he stays there. He cannot understand why his brothers are so moved at the thought of shifting the family deity. He is the only one who is aware of the loans that the family had to borrow because of the festivals of the deity and the subsequent worry and hardships that his parents had to face. That is also perhaps the reason for his ambition to become rich. Abba lives a well-to-do life. He is well aware of his family responsibilities and is a little tense because of them. He sometimes gets restless, wondering if he had passed on the right values to his children or if he had helped his brother Ramu enough. There is no bad feeling between the four brothers, nor have they quarrelled with each other. Yet, they are unable to talk much. They treat each other somewhat formally since they have lived away from each other for many years. Inwardly, they dislike this formality, but they cannot find any means to dispel the awkwardness between them. For various reasons, they are all fond of their village, where they spent their childhood. Yet, they feel the distance between them and the villagers. Through several small incidents and dialogues, Mokashi skillfully reveals the inner world of emotions and feelings of these characters. Apart from the depiction of the life of each of the brothers, there is a sense that this is the end of an era which pervades the novel. This is the result of the Joshi family's decision to move their deity. The sound of the prayers offered to Narhari filled the village after many years today. It escaped from the windows and doors of the houses of the Joshi family and entered every house in the village after dashing through the bushes. Those who had listened to this sound of prayers since childhood began to listen with alert mind. There was no reason for the members of the Joshi family to know how the sound of their prayers swayed over the wind and was heard by the villagers. The sound of the cymbals would rise and fall. The words were at times heard, sometimes not, and yet the rhythm was easy to follow. The villagers knew this effect well. It was like the fragrance filling the entire region when a big pot with incense was burnt at the village square. And today, those prayers created a turmoil of memories in the minds of the old villagers. In every house, the old men and women initially averted their eyes from each other, but then their imaginations were ignited and they began to tell the tales of the Joshi family and of Narhari's festivals. The knowledge that an era was coming to an end prevailed on their minds. It was the feeling that even a layman experiences when a great leader or a learned person or an artist is dead. Many had this feeling of loss. Some villagers began to move towards the Joshi family's home to participate in these final prayers. We have with us today Professor Madan Kulkarni, who will tell us more about the characteristics of this novel.
देव चालले ही मुळात वेगळ्या धर्तीची कादंबरी आहे. विषयवस्तूच्या दृष्टीने ही कादंबरी नाविन्यपूर्णच म्हणावी लागेल. आपल्या श्रद्धा जीवनातून निसटू पाहत आहेत अशा वेळी त्या जगण्याचा आणि जपण्याचा प्रयत्न करण्याची कथा आणि व्यथा या कादंबरीत मोकाशी यांनी मांडली आहे. श्रद्धेच्या विळख्यात माणसे स्वतःला जखडून घेतात आणि महत्त्वाची गोष्ट म्हणजे फसलेल्या श्रद्धेचेही तत्त्वज्ञान मांडतात. ढासळत चाललेल्या श्रद्धेंची हाडत चघळीत माणसं कुढत कणत जगत आहेत या सत्याची जाणीव मोकाशी या कादंबरीत करून देतात. देव चालले या कादंबरीत 4 शहरात राहणारे भाऊ खेडेगावातील देवाच्या मूर्ती शहरामध्ये न्यायला येतात. मुळात या 1.5 दिवसाचे कथानक आहे. म्हणजे एखाद्या लघुकथेत मांडता आला असता असा ऐवज या कादंबरीत आलेला दिसतो. अर्थात लघुकादंबरीचा हा आकृतिबंध आहे. महत्त्वाचं म्हणजे या कादंबरीतील पात्रांचे जीवन, त्यांच्या श्रद्धा ह्या दर्शवितानाच त्यात गाव आहे आणि गावकरीसुद्धा आहेत. गावातील व्यक्तीचे श्रद्धास्थान असलेली माणसे जोशांच्या घरातील नरहर देवाशी निगडीत आहेत. गावात शंकराचेही देऊळ आहे, पण गावाला जोशी कुटुंबाचे दैवत आपलेच वाटते. गावातून देव जाणार ही कल्पना त्यांना आधी असावी. नरहर देवता म्हणजे नृसिंह देवता हीच या कादंबरीच्या विषयाच्या केंद्रस्थानी आहे. आता देवाचे स्थलांतर होणार म्हटल्यानंतर गावालाही दुःख होते आणि जे भाऊ तिथे आलेले आहेत त्यांच्या मनातल्या वेगवेगळ्या प्रतिक्रियाही तिथे आपल्याला सूचकपणे कादंबरीकार काही निवेदनाच्या वाक्यातून मांडताना दिसतो. दिवा मोकाशी यांच्या लेखनशैलीचेही वेगळेपण लक्षणीय आहे. त्यांच्या निवेदनातील काही वाक्ये मोठी सूचक आहेत. संध्याकाळची आरती सुरू होते. जोशांच्या घराच्या खिडक्या दारातून आरतीचे झांजाचे आवाज गावच्या इतर घरघरात प्रवेश करू लागतात. गावकरी मग जोशांच्या घराकडे वळतात. मधूनच आरतीचे शब्द कळतात कळत नाहीत. झांजाची खणखण वरखाली हेलावते तरीसुद्धा लय येते. पण इथे परंपरा हेलकावे खात आहे हे सुचवण्याचा लेखकाचा उद्देश आहे. आरतीचे शब्द कळतात कळत नाही हे केवळ वर्णन नाही, तर काही आरतीतल्या शब्दांचा जोशी मंडळींना विसर पडल्याचे सूचकपणे इथे व्यक्त होते. वयस्क गावकरी माणसांच्या नजरा हे सर्व होत असले पाहून परस्परांच्या नजरांना टाळू लागतात. इथेही सर्व काही ठीक नाही असा गावकऱ्यांचा भाव लेखक सूचित करतो. थोडक्यात एक कालखंड संपल्याची जाणीव सर्व गावकऱ्यांना सारखीच होते, पण बोलत कोणीच नाही. एखाद्या नामवंत व्यक्तीच्या हरपल्यानंतर सामान्यपणे माणसाला काहीतरी हरपल्याची जाणीव होते, तसं काहीसं त्यांना वाटतं. असं लेखकाचं निरीक्षणही यात आहे. देवाच्या स्थानांतराबद्दल प्रत्यक्ष कुटुंबीय, गावकरी आणि त्यांच्या प्रतिक्रियाही निःशब्दच आहेत. यात कादंबरी लेखकाचे कौशल्य जाणवते. या कादंबरीकडे आदिबंधात्मक समीक्षेच्या दृष्टिकोनातून पाहता येईल. संस्कृती, श्रद्धा, आस्था या मानवी मनाशी परंपरेने जखडून असतात. खरवडून काढतो म्हटले तरी त्या निघत नाहीत. देवाचे स्थलांतर यात एवढे काय विशेष असा प्रश्न नरूसारख्याला पडतो, पण त्यातही त्याचा परंपरेला नकार नाही, तर त्याची चौकस वृत्ती त्यातून दिसते. रामूसारख्या पात्रातून श्रद्धा जपूनही जगता येतं असं मनाच्या खोलवर रुजलेलं मूळ असतेच. जीवन आणि संस्कृती याचं अतूट बंधन हा या कादंबरीचा गाभा आहे. म्हणून कुटुंबाचे घटक, गावकरी देव चालले आहेत हे कळल्यावर अस्वस्थ व्हावेत हे साहजिक आहे. इयॉन वॉट यांनी द राईज ऑफ नॉव्हेल या ग्रंथात म्हटले आहे, द नॉव्हेल इज दस द लिटररी व्हेकल ऑफ द कल्चर. असे जे विधान केले आहे ते देव चालले या कादंबरीला लागू पडणारे आहे.
At the beginning of this novel, Mokashi writes that this is the tale of God who has neither a beginning nor an end. But this is more of a tale of the relationship between God and man. This relationship has been flourishing from time immemorial. Mokashi explores the intricacies of this relationship, which changes with the man's circumstances, but which maintains its tenacity in this novel. Do read this novel that has been translated into English, Odia and Hungarian languages. Shrikant Bhatkar of the Anusuyatai Bhatkar Smriti Pratishthan helped us in getting a copy of this book for Granth Yatra. A big thank you to Mr. Bhatkar. We shall meet next Friday to peruse some blank verse. Until then, keep reading.